Hello, everybody. Mariner here. I'm trying to stay festive. But after the news that has just broken this evening, I'm not so sure that I'm feeling too festive. Gabe, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing all right. Things are, I guess, FPL normal. I think I would say games being canceled, players injured, last minute news. The only real surprise I think that we've gotten, cancellations aren't really a surprise anymore. The only real surprise we've gotten is FPL's giving us a gift. We have an extra free hit.
Yeah, absolutely. Instead of coal, we got an extra free hit.
Yeah, I mean, FPL knows that Santa's going to. You said it's going to do something first.
He's going to shit down your chimney. He's just shit down your chimney, auntie. Let's face it.
That's right. So if Santa's going to shit down your chimney, at least we have a free hit to catch it, courtesy of FPL, official FPL.
Well, I think he shut down my chimney. That's a fact. I will talk about what's going on in my team. Anyway, everybody, we are Net That Haul. We're back for the show prior to Christmas. I'm that tired. I can't even get the game week right when I advertise it on Twitter. I advertised it as Gameweek 20. That sums that sums me up today. Cheers, everybody. Happy Christmas to you all. You know, ho ho no, it's Christmas. God. Anyway, as I said, we are Net That Haul. This is the matchup show for Gameweek 19, and we are in the next hour and a half probably. Going to try and dissect what we can of what remains and have a little bit of a look forward. But quite frankly, at this moment, we still don't know an awful lot, but we can sort of like start to think what may happen thanks to the guru that is Ben Krellin. Because let's face it, that's at least I've got his spreadsheet. That's a Christmas present in itself. Just looking at his spreadsheet, it helps a lot. Gabe, we have, as always, to start with the philosophy. So I think we'll get the philosophy out of the way first, then we'll do the bits and bobs and things whilst people join. So I'll let me put this up on the screen. I think it's quite appropriate. And the philosophy says, in the middle of chaos lies opportunity.
By Bruce Lee, the GOAT. Very simple one this week, and in these complicated times that we're living in, I thought a simple message was most apt for this game week. And
I just thought, you know what I thought? You know the reason why I thought you picked Bruce Lee?
Why?
Because of his martial arts specialty, right? Because I just feel like I've just been kicked in the bollocks.
Well, yeah, I mean,
in the bollocks even.
Bruce Lee also famously said, be like water. So, when try to kick water in the bullocks, as you say, it's hard to do if you're like water. So, but this one, it's I thought it was quite apt because in the middle of a chaos, sometimes all we see is the chaos. It's easy to get lost in that maelstrom of variance and moment to moment changes, but with every change lies opportunity, and I think if we can kind of just rest in that space, that rather than focusing on all the things that are changing, focus on the things that are the opportunities that are opening up thanks to that change. Opening a door, for example, opening a window is a change, and you're opening
like
something.
Jumping out one.
Well, you might feel like doing that. the man there's about to fall in the toilet.
I'm sunburnt, knackered, and just generally just fed up. But anyway, there we go. Anyway, Akib says it all. Postpone the philosophy. He says, "There we go. It's too late, Akib. We've already done it." Anyway, let's just do a few little bits and bobs. So let's see who's in, and then we'll have a quick look at the mini league, and then we'll dive into stuff. So we've got Norman Conquest in. Hello, Norman. FPL Safa's here. Sujit's in as well. Hello, mate. Blue Danube guy, not Danube, Nima. Oh, by the way, get well soon. Nima's flagged everybody. Akib's here, as we mentioned already. FPL Robbie, the Fantasy Pavilion, stress is the fertilizer of creativity. He's maybe been on the pop as well. FPL Dallas is here as well, who appeared very high up my Christmas tree. In fact, he was nearly at the top of my Christmas tree was FPL Dallas. And Nehal's here. Hello, Nehal. So, right, anyway, let's have a quick look at the mini league before we do anything. And I'm just going to put it onto the screen. So there we go. You should be able to see it. And the mini league is headed by Ryan Quinn again. The serial chip buster with the bench boost used in game week 1, triple captain in 3, wildcard in 4, and he's free in 8. But he's got another one now, hasn't he? 1,279 points. Overall rank 50 in the world. Well done, my friend. Donny's second in our mini league, 147 in the world. Brad, a little bit of a tough week for him. Pfizer Chiefs, third, now 182 in the world. And Nicholas Core of FPL Expectations doing really well as well. Losing my Region, and he hasn't played his wild card yet, so I think he's in a box seat there. So we'll have to see how he does. Gabe, I think we have to start with the fact that we have some yellow in Ben Krellin's spreadsheet. We have the potential of a pretty big double game week now, including Liverpool and Leeds, which has just been added in. What's your early thoughts as to your chip usage under your circumstances? You haven't played your chips at all, have you, at the moment? Apart from your wildcard one.
Correct. I haven't played any chips. And I mean, this news is about 45 minutes old for me. It's 8:13 in the morning here, Mariner, and I'm on my third cup of coffee. So I have no idea what this. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I mean, the initial, with this week's blanks, it changes everything. I think it's important to sit with the information. I mean, I hadn't even, without this week's blanks, I hadn't really decided which direction I was going to go in. Hadn't looked at the overall plan yet. So with this week's blanks, I think the things that change is the idea of, do we really want to get rid of Liverpool assets given the money we have invested in them? With I think that's and do we have the luxury of asking ourselves that question at all with all the other blanks and all the other fires we have to put out and emerging assets? So I think what this requires is more of a meta conversation. I don't think this is a conversation about players or matchups. It's a conversation about strategy. And I think putting this up like this, the Ben Krellin spreadsheet up like this, putting it like in its entirety, I think is helpful. And look for maybe blocks of 4 matches, not game weeks, but 4 matches, and piece together your team that way. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to give you 2 scenarios. First scenario, would you sell Mo Salah now?
I think it's 100% team dependent. I think the answer is yes and no, depending on the fires that you have to put out. If you need those funds to plug other holes in your team, I think it's perfectly fine to sell him, given that he will. Hold on. Let's see.
Well, look, he blanks. Then he's got Leicester and Chelsea, and then he's away for 2.
Well, the thing is, he'll blank. Then he'll have Leicester, which is a great matchup. It's the only one that really scares you, right? For Salah,
yeah,
not owning Salah. Then he has Chelsea, which if he returns, you should not be surprised.
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
And then he's away.
Yeah.
So he misses the double. He misses Palace, and he misses Leicester again.
And it would take me I would need 0.3 to buy him back.
0.3. I think you probably shot 0.3 this morning.
Yeah. Dear me. Well,
dear me.
I put a few balls into the lake.
So if, back to that point, if you're looking look at Salah's next 5, right? Blank, Leicester, Chelsea, blank, 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 or the next 6. So 2 games in the next 6. I think he's a candidate to sell. For sure. Go ahead.
I'm with you. I'm with you. The other angle, of course, is because you've been gifted a nice free hit. You've got a nice, juicy, shiny free hit chip. If you decided to go down the free hit route this week, then you could have Salah at a slightly differential position against Leicester next week, of course, which is the other way to look at it. It's really tough. I am at the moment, and I'll show you what my thoughts are in a minute. And I've just done this in the last few minutes as well. I'm tempted to sell him at this moment in time. But that's the only Liverpool asset I will sell, because I'm quite convinced now that I don't need to free hit in 22 if I plan my way to 22, which means using this free hit chip now will not hurt me.
And I think that's maybe the biggest impact of this weekend's cancellations is that we feel more comfortable selling Salah now, and now it's easier to plan for 22. So that extra free hit is really becomes a bonus to use at a different time. The other thing I'll say is Salah might miss the Leicester match. It's quite close after Game Week 20's quite close right after Game Week 19, if I'm not mistaken.
He's not playing. He's not playing though, is he? In 19.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So the Leicester game might not happen as well. Like what we don't know here is
it's Leeds. It's Leeds who are the COVID cases, not Liverpool. So Salah should be rested. Salah should be rested. So I mean, it all points to a potential Salah fest against Leicester, quite frankly. So yeah, that's the worry. But you know, if you look at it in isolation, what could you do with Salah? Well, you need a captaincy option this week, right? Who's your captaincy option? The obvious captaincy choices, and we'll come to the metric later on, without Salah for the first time this season, are people like Ronaldo, Son, possibly somebody like Bowen as well, or if you're prepared to punt on a Manchester City asset, bearing in mind we might know who's playing because it's the early get. We might get some team leaks for the City if possible. So who knows? So it's tough for me. I still think that by selling Salah, it gives me better captaincy options, which immediately suggests that I can return a hit or two hits if I have to. It might even be a -8. To do what I want to do. But yeah, I mean, that's where I am. It doesn't help the fact I own Dennis. Obviously, he's going to the AFCON now, but also may well be going to the AFCON now, but also he's out this week. I've got Phil Bad Boy Foden, and I've got Antonio and his COVID. His leg which fell off. He managed to pick COVID up, bless him. So I've got some fires.
And I would think that most people do have fires. The one thing that if you're looking at a -8, I would advise caution, because at Game Week 20, we don't know what matches could be postponed in Game Week 20 or 21 or 20. I mean, so this is happening every single week. So to take a -8 to fix Game Week 19 could land you in hot water for Game Week 20. So if you're looking at a -8 or more, I might suggest considering the free hit instead.
Well, let's move on to this thing then, because this is what I thought of. Now, obviously, this is very, very early, but I thought of Salah out for Son. That's fairly obvious, right? Lacazette playing Norwich out for Ronaldo. I have no problem with that. I've no problem with that at all. That's for me. That's just upside. But the worry. This is the worry, is that a certain Ruben Dias might need to make way, because I'm looking at it and seeing City's fixtures. They don't double in 22 at this moment. The fixtures are not great. They are still very, very good when it comes to matchups. But if you look at the fixtures in isolation, they don't look so good. So maybe Dias is the obvious option, one of the obvious options to downgrade. I did think about James as well, but they might double in 22. So they might hold him, but then lose him after that. So at the moment, I'm looking at Diaz to Davis. I mean, you know, Spurs defender. Gabe, help me.
It's not a big investment, right?
It's not. No, it's not a big investment, so it's not a massive problem. The other option I could do is I could get rid of Bad Boy Phil and go down to Martinelli instead. But that would mean Smith Rowe and Martinelli. And how am I just going to take point? Am I just going to take minutes off each other with those two?
You could go to Ramsey.
He's not playing this week. He's not playing. He probably won't play this week.
Do you need him to play this week?
Well, I don't know. At the moment, I've only got 10 players as it is.
Wait, Ramsey's playing this week. They play Chelsea.
Well, there was rumours that they might not be. If that game goes, I'm free hitting. I can't. I'm screwed if that happens.
So I think that's kind of what's going on. If people are in this holding pattern, they're stuck. Like they have just enough players where they could free hitting as an option and taking hits as an option. But you're right. If one more game, one more big game like that, like a Chelsea game goes down,
there'll be
it's free hit central.
There'll be a rash of free hits. I think at the moment we're in a little bit. If it stays like this, it could be quite interesting. It could see how it plays out because you can have. I think we're gonna have a 33%. I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't a third of people don't free hit of active people this week if they've got that free hit chip. You know, but if we lose more than more, it'll be 3/4 of people be free hitting, I would imagine.
But I mean, looking at your team, just talking more a little bit broader lens, more meta. I would be in favor of losing a City attacker before I lost a City defender, because the returns get spread around quite a bit at City. We've seen that the past several weeks.
Yep.
Whereas you can consolidate the defensive returns. So I think I mean for me, and I'm looking at getting rid of Bilva. If I were you, I would look to get rid of Foden. And then the other thing is consider what the delta is, like what you're bringing in, and what you're bringing in needs to be a pick that's good for all of the situations we have ahead of us, all like the doubles, the fixtures, AFCON. It has to take care of a lot. So totally. Looking that's why a player like, I can't stand Davies. I can't stand a Tottenham defender. You know that very well. And I think Davies is one of those. Yeah, and I think Davies is a great option. The one concern I'd have about him is are Spurs going to buy in the transfer window? And if they do, I forget who was it that was. I don't remember if it was the above average pod or if it was I don't remember who it was. Somebody was talking about how for Spurs, how it's that if they bought a center back, that it would be a replacement for Davies. So I think there's a little bit of a risk there. Whereas on the right side, like the safest, I think, is Dyer. God help us.
Oh God,
I know the freaking Cody of Spurs. But his spot is apparently more secured than Davies. They could buy somebody. It's just a little bit of a risk, but I understand the inclination to go for a Tottenham defender.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, that's where I am, and I don't want it to be about my team because it's not what we're talking about. But I wanted to give an example, and the quickest example was to be just my own perspective. If we were free hitting, who would you be looking at, Gabe? I'm going to start us off. Well, I'm going to say because City, I've already mentioned this, because City are close to around the deadline, we might get some leaks. I would probably look to try and work treble City in. I think just from the perspective of hopefully knowing that the game's going to go ahead, point one, and hopefully knowing who's there. Differentials, who would be looking at? I'm thinking Spurs, obviously Kane and Son. You could easily get both in. I've already looked at that. Get Kane and Son, or you could get the double defense in if you wanted to as a differential as well. But will they keep a clean sheet?
Do you want to get into the Spurs discussion? I think Spurs whole topic unto itself that I'd like to get into, but we can do the free hit first.
Look, I'm
and
absolutely
then...
fine to get into it now. I mean, look, what I'm saying
right,
is this is one thing which worries me about free hitting, because I'm looking at it and I ain't bloody convinced. I'm all right with player like Son. I'm all right with Son, and I'm all right with Davis. But a third one? Really?
Not for me. Not against Palace.
No.
Not for a free hit.
I think they're no easy ride, are they?
Yeah, I mean, I would get Davis as a bench player just in case someone doesn't play. Davis comes in. I think that's fine. But if we're talking free hit, and let's talk about Spurs for a little bit, because that Spurs Liverpool game is being lauded as the best game of the year, of the calendar year, whatever the hell that means. And I gotta say, man, if this is, and I might go on a little bit of a rant here, because
excellent. Hang on a second.
This is let's talk about Spurs, because you know how I feel about Spurs in general. So Spurs, right? They play against a Liverpool team with no center mids. Every center mid was a replacement center mid, and they hit right through the gut. Right. Oh damn it.
Anyway, Spurs hit right through the gut. Gabe's cut himself off. No, I think his battery's just gone off his laptop. Anyway, look, whilst he comes back, I'm going to carry on, and I'm going to say, and guys, help me out in the chat here. Who else would be looking at if you were free hitting? Who would you have in goal? De Gea? Possibly instead of Ramsdale. I'm not sure. Arsenal-wise, who would you have? I think I would definitely be having Martinelli for sure. West Ham, Bowen. So there's three City, a couple of Spurs if you were. Entirely, it's one of those ones where I think if you were seriously looking at it, I couldn't be convinced on certainly treble Spurs for a start. Gabe, hopefully, yes. Donny's right. Rant over. Right. Anyway, hopefully he'll come back soon. But in the meantime, I think what I'll do, I think I'll probably do the fixture difficulty, because I can move on to that and just cover that. We've got Guy to there. We might come back. We'll probably come back to this free hit. If you want to, we can come back to it in the Q&As at the end. Let me just put the screen back up whilst Gabe appears. And let me do the fixture difficulty. So, all right then, fixture difficulty. Oh, hang on, here he comes. Gabe, did your battery go flat?
Yep.
I thought so. I thought so. I was just about to go to the fixture difficulty. Do you want to go back to it? Because I've just literally mentioned who else we might. I've just been through the other players who we might well go for. So I mentioned De Gea, I mentioned Martinelli, Bowen, players like that. But right. Look, I'll let you go again. Now you've recharged your battery.
Yeah. Apologies for that. So I mean, we're lauding a Spurs team. We're even talking about captaining Spurs against a good Palace team just because that they showed some signs of life against a Liverpool team playing basically with 8 players, because there are no midfielders in that game. None. Alexander-Arnold and Robertson, they go forward. Do you have a Henderson that drops in to fill their position? No. You just have holes back there. And you see that midfield. When you're watching that game, they're in their triangle. The shape is decent, but the shape is too big. The triangle is too wide when they're not in possession, and they're jogging. And Spurs just come through, they cut through that like butter. And now we're like, oh, Captain Spurs against a good Palace team? Hell no. Maybe bring a Spurs player in, but if you're going Kane, Son, you're tripling up on Spurs, you're captaining Spurs, I think you are absolutely insane. We've seen one game from them against a depleted Liverpool team, and Spurs weren't even that good. They weren't even that good. So I'm saying Stop. Let's just pause. We've been here before. We even had a philosophy section. Like, remember that we've been here before. This isn't new territory. And last time we were here, like, everyone's like, yeah, bring fucking Kane in. What did Kane do? He did jack
what
shit.
You need to do now,
and in
what
this
you need
game,
to do now is pick something up and throw it out the window. And then you just pick something up and throw it through the window, and then you're really done, right?
Here, listen. There. Take that.
All you need
fucking take it easy on Spurs. What's up with all this?
Like that?
Why is everyone so eager to jump on Spurs? Jesus, fucking chill out.
Excellent. I love the rant.
No.
It's about time you had one. Donny here.
Now later you guys can help me get Son in.
3 Arsenal against Norwich, 3 Man U against Newcastle. Interesting which 3. Interesting which 3 Arsenal as well. So look, Martinelli, obvious for me if I was free hitting. Arsenal defender, Tierney, Gabriel.
I don't think Martinelli's obvious. What if ESR?
I think he is. He's rested in the week, wasn't he? He was rested in the week where Smith Rowe played 80 minutes.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay. I missed the midweek with family stuff. Okay, so Martinelli, Tierney, an attack, a wing back. I'd get a wing back in there.
Yeah, definitely. So Manu,
and then the other one would probably be like Ronaldo. Well, the other Arsenal one would be probably someone you're sure of, like Saka.
Yeah, I quite like that. He's in good form at the moment. He's playing well.
Good form. He's nailed. Yeah.
3 Man U. De Gea. Did I just say that? De Gea, Ronaldo, maybe Dalot as a sub, perhaps. Don't know.
As a sub, he's cheap. You can throw him on the bench.
Yeah. 3 West Ham against Southampton. 3 West Ham against Southampton. Well, Bowen is the obvious one. Not sure about the rest.
Maybe Southampton could score. You could see Southampton scoring. I'm not up to date on how fit the West Ham back line is. I'm not sure if any of them are coming back.
No, it's not.
Is Cresswell not even Cresswell?
There's still more flags than the standard Olympic opening ceremony there. So,
right. So you can see Southampton scoring, right? That possibly, the one punt, if you want to get punty and throw someone on the bench, is Yarmolenko. If Yarmolenko is going, he could come in if Antonio is out.
Or Broya against West Ham.
For sure. I think he'd be a good shout on the bench as well. Even better.
Cheap punt. Yeah. Nice cheap punt. 2 City against Leicester. Okay, not 3. Fair enough. And 2 Spurs. All right, that's Donny. And let's face it.
I would go 3 City and 1.
We need to listen to Donny because he's a better manager than us.
So that's something for me to take a look at then, because I would go 3 City and 1 Spurs, but Donny's killing it this season. So you're right. We have to listen to
Donny. He's not a cricketer.
He corrected my pronunciation on Twitter. It's like dough, like a pizza dough.
Right, I thought you were about the cricketer. You don't know about the cricketer, do you? No. A lot of our friends will know about the cricketer on here. The pronunciation. Okay. Our Indian friends will know all about it. Anyway, so let's just see what chats we've got in here. So we've got Son is Eero, a new guy, Eero must be new. I've not seen Eero before. Son is going to Hull. He might do, but the only thing is that Crystal Palace, like you say, Gabe, they're not an easy ride to get past. They're tight, right?
They are tight, really although they are away. I believe it's Palace is away, if I'm not mistaken. So that's one thing where he could haul because of that. There, top man, Donny. Yes. Donny.
Right. Donny. Even Akib's putting us right. Crikey.
That's right. Happy travels, Akib. Akib's on the road.
So FPL Escapades, here's another free hit side. Ramsdale or De Gea, Cancelo, Dalot, James, Bowen, Son, Martinelli, KDB, Foden. If you're going to have a KDB, you may as well do it in a free hit, right? Ronaldo, Antonio if fit. That's not bad either. Interesting. Could be an interesting Christmas day. I could be blind drunk planning a wildcard, planning a free hit.
Sounds like you already started drinking there, Mariner, for getting blind drunk.
It is Christmas after all.
I mean, is Foden still in the doghouse after his orgy?
Is that what he did?
Yeah, him and Jack.
Did he? Good man.
Yeah. Everyone's just a little nervous.
If you're going to go down, might as well go down in flames, aren't you?
You know, that the world is celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, and you're saying good man to a guy that just got an orgy. Tis the season for all anything, I guess.
I mean, look, if you're going to go down in you may as well go down in flames. That's what I always used to say.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Side note: rumors are that Barcelona are trying to buy.
This is just terrible.
This is pretty bad. Apparently, Barcelona is trying to buy Ferran Torres.
Yes, I heard that. You'll be most disappointed when you won't be able to say that every week.
That's the only reason I bring it up. I won't be able to say the name anymore on here.
Anyway, right, enough on this wild card. Let's get into the other bits and bobs. We can always come back to it, can't we? Because I dare say I said wild card again. What a knob. I meant free hit. Let me have a drink of wine.
Escapade says Foden will start probably. Pep has had his say and he wouldn't want to drag it anymore. That's fair.
To be fair, he's got a point. And I'll tell you why. Because he was still on the bench. He wasn't left out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe it wasn't too big an orgy.
Maybe Pep got an invite to the next one. So he's like, all right, you can start next game.
My God, you're going to end up getting us banned.
Moving on, my friend.
Neima's even going to be contacted us soon, telling us to calm down. Right. Anyway, all right. Let's have a quick look at this fixture. It's a while since we've done fixture difficulty, isn't it? So I think we need to just have a quick look at it, and I think this sets us up for we'll do this now, and then we won't probably look at it again till the new year. I don't think. I'm sure we won't have time in the next game week if we get a show in at all. But that's another story. Let's have a quick look at it. So fixture difficulty, as always, 0 to 7. 0 being best, 7 being worst, green being good, red being bad, if you're watching. Home and away for attack as follows. So at home, Liverpool are still top. Obviously, they're not playing this week, 0.9. Manchester City, 1. Chelsea, 1.4. At the bottom, Watford, still, even though they seem to flatter to deceive, but still struggling, 4.8. Wolves and Norwich, 4.3. What's interesting, well, look at Arsenal now. The laughing stock of many a Mariner chortle this season. They're slowly but surely making me eat my words. Certainly at home, look. They are climbing quite nicely now. And remember, my fixture difficulty works on a longer range, so they're higher than that in real terms. Crystal Palace are doing okay as well at home, as we've said many times during this show. And people like Aston Villa, Brighton, Newcastle, they're still struggling, but I think there's green shoots for Aston Villa. I think we can safely say that if they ever play. I brought Watkins in, got my returns, and had to sell him, Gabe. Typical.
I mean, the tragedy in that is the person you sold them for. Nobody's happy about having Lacazette in their team right now.
He got a return. I mean, you should have had about
4
returns.
No, for sure. But
I mean, seriously, couldn't hit a barn door from a yard, could he? Can't hit a barn door from a yard, Lacazette. Honestly, seriously.
Yeah.
Because the old, my granny could have scored that. Some of the stuff he missed. Anyway, she's been dead since 2002. Right. Okay. Liverpool 0.5. Manchester City 2.1, Chelsea 2.6. This is away. Manchester City are really climbing now, Gabe. They just look so good. What's your view?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just right now they're the most kind of overall solid team where you can kind of rely on their attackers aren't too expensive if you get the right one. You know, their defense is, you know, you're going to get something. You know, any of them is good for an attacking return. They have the best defense in the league. So they're just kind of like ooze solidity. They you know, so they're the team I feel the most safe with. We saw with Liverpool what happens. Also to go back to that Liverpool Spurs game, you know, Liverpool without Van Dijk. We talked in preseason what Liverpool was like without Van Dijk. They don't have those, you know, the threat of the direct long ball, that ball wide that puts defenders immediately on their heels. That threat is gone. You also, there was in the which goal? I don't remember. Which goal was it? The first goal was I don't remember which Spurs goal it was, but the defense, I think it was Konate. He was pushed up high, and Robertson was the last defender, and that kept Son onside. That doesn't happen with Van Dijk there. You know, it's a completely different game. So like Liverpool had basically no spine. And so we see some chinks in that armor as far as Liverpool go, just because Van Dijk is so integral to the way Liverpool attack. So if we're looking at Liverpool attack here, I still, you know, well, Liverpool's not.
They're not playing this week anyway. So I mean, Manchester City 2.1, Chelsea 2.6, Manchester United 3.1. So 3.1, you know, is no great shakes. I mean, obviously we're hoping we'll see something new with Ranić. See how he does and see if that changes things. At the bottom, Norwich 5.4, Burnley 4.6, Newcastle 4.5. This is away again. Everton 4.4, Wolves 4.4. You've got Palace and Brentford 4.3. It's very noticeable just how the fan factor has really started to affect attacking output. And it's so, look at it. We're nearly a number down, look. All the way. Very, very noticeable. It's good that we do it this way because it's nice to be able to spot this stuff. But even Arsenal away now, you know me. I've already said I've been chortling about Arsenal, but even now they're not as bad as they were. They're still worse than last year with that VAR of 1, but they're 11th now, and they were right down, weren't they? So I think we're starting to see some serious green shoots there. Let's have a quick look at defence, Gabe. Manchester City, top at home. Hardly surprising. 1.5. Brighton, 2.2. Chelsea and Palace, 2.4. Okay. At the bottom, Watford, 5.6. Newcastle, 4.8. Everton, Leeds and Norwich, all 4.1. Everton, to me, just very, very dodgy at the moment. Watford, Watford, I think he's just decided he's going to try and score goals, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he can defend, so he may as well, you're going to score 2, so let's just score 3. You know,
Ranieri is he's making relegation fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's going to be probably that's going to happen. Manchester United look at home defensively, not great. You know, so again, you know, start worrying, think about Manchester United keeping clean sheets. I'm still not convinced about it. I'm not convinced. I'm sure he'll put. Do you think he'll turn it around?
I don't think it's about turning it around. I think it's just about the fixtures, and I think in the upcoming fixtures you'll see more clean sheets. I think you'll see the numbers shift towards more green for Manchester United defense, certainly at home.
Fair point. Yeah, fair point, because they have got some decent fixtures coming up. So, yeah, right. I'm not too objectionable about. Let's see what happens.
But it's certainly like if you do have Manchester, like I went with De Gea, right? Overall, over say the second half of the season, you know, you'd rather you trust Arsenal more than you trust United's defense, right? And in all of the matchups in the second half of the season, I think. So to your point, it's nice now, but who knows how long that will last.
Out of a goalkeeper transfer, I mean, I'm more interested in bringing a second goalkeeper in, quite frankly. If I can, I'm thinking I'm going to have to, because there's who I did see it on Twitter. I think it might have been Ben Krellin. It might have been Ben, who mentioned that Sanchez and Ramsdale rotate quite nicely.
See,
around
that's one strategy.
But only no. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Mm-hmm,
I'm not talking about normal rotation. I'm
Mm.
talking about when Ramsdale's got his blanks, because Ramsdale's going to have some blanks, right? Possibly a couple of blanks. And yeah, he does around 25. I think if I could probably go back. There we go. Look, 25 and 27. They could be blank. So
wow, because Chelsea's at the Club World Cup.
So if that's the case, and Brighton there have Watford and Villa, right? So that is possibly Sanchez is an option perhaps there. And Brighton are they're a little bit off the boil away from home, but they're no mean sheet. They're tough. They're a tough nut to crack at home. They are, haven't they? They've been tough all year. Yeah. Did we do the away? I don't think we did. Manchester City top.
Sorry, you would go Sanchez over Guaita for that second goalkeeper spot? You think?
Possibly, yeah. Possibly. I mean, although I didn't see I didn't see what the fixtures for Guaita. They've got Brentford and Burnley. That's an option as well. Yeah. But I think it's just dependent on the overall. Yeah. I mean, like I say, Ramsdale's going to be my pretty much guaranteed start for any other week. Yeah. So I think I'm only really looking at those fixtures.
I think I like Guaita a bit more than Sanchez. One, because of Brighton has the injuries. Who knows how long it'll take for them to recover and kind of get back into form. And then the other reason is the FDR we're showing here. We have Palace at home is ranked 4th and improving and is the team that's improving fastest.
Yeah, they are. At home. Yeah, they are, and they're also improving away as well. So the 3 points they're 8th,
improving away,
whereas Brighton are getting worse away from home.
Exactly, and they're getting worse at home and away. Brighton, they're getting worse both. So
yeah.
I think I'd favor Guaita as that second goalkeeper over Sanchez.
Good call. Good call. It's time to look at it, but I think that's something I am contemplating. I mean, it might come down to 0.1 if whoever's cheaper as well. It could just come down to who's cheaper, because I'm not mess-assing about spending too much time. I'll just go for the cheapest possibly if there's not an awful lot in it. Defensively away from home, Manchester City top 2, Chelsea 2.5, Spurs 3. Interestingly, then West Ham and Watford. What's going on with this fixture difficulty? Norwich 4.7 at the bottom. Burnley also with 4.7, and Newcastle. Southampton 4.5. Leeds 4.3.
What's Watford doing? Watford defense doing up there? I think your machines are broken.
We've looked before, haven't we? And we did adjust it, and they're still there. So I don't quite know. I think it's the way my fixture difficulty works. I might just have to go and beat it around the head with a cricket bat and see if it works, see if it sorts itself out in the new year. But look, it's the way it works for everybody else. So why should it? I think the only thing I would say is that they have a smaller data set. We've said this all along, haven't we, about the teams which come up? They've got a much smaller data set than teams who are already in the league. All right. So that's that one. So let's keep going. So this week's fixtures, so matchups, Gabe. Let's get on to that now. So obviously Liverpool did have a fantastic matchup. And I deleted Mo Salah off this graphic about 20 minutes ago, just before we came on air. And I put Phil Bad Boy Foden up. I couldn't think of anybody else to put up, really. But look, Manchester City have a stand-out best matchup now for attack this game week. Stand out.
I mean, almost double United.
Yeah. And then Manchester United are next, and then with 1 point, so 3.2 plus 3.2 plus 1.7 plus 1.3 West Ham plus 1.2 Spurs. So Spurs is not that brilliant a matchup, right? It's good. Right. It's okay. But it says, even there, it says that the teams to focus on attack-wise will be City, United, West Ham, almost almost certainly. And Arsenal, interestingly enough, not. Why? Because they're away again. Remember, Arsenal are not as good away from home as they are at home, but they are improving. What do you think? Is it?
There's a good question from Kevin, FPL Saffer. He's asking, if you had Ronaldo and KDB, who would you captain, ignoring EO? And that's something that we'll probably get to when we get to the captaincy metric and stuff like that, Kevin.
But it's, I think I definitely know where the metric's gone. I know where the metric's gone. So I'm recalculated it, but we'll save that for later. But I think that's a really good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. But to kind of touch on that question a little bit, just based on your FDR here, Mariner. I mean, I don't see. I see, as far as if you're going to captain an attacking player, I think Manchester City is the only place to go, because it's. I mean, Manchester United. You would group Manchester United with West Ham and Spurs in the difficulty rating for this week, and Manchester City is. Go ahead.
As long as you know who's starting. If
for
you're
City,
that's the risk. That's the risk. It's. If you knew who was going to start, if you got that team leak, then a City player would be well worth a consideration, definitely. Especially given the fact they're playing straight away and no chance of anybody else getting called off, right?
I think you can be pretty sure that Kevin De Bruyne will start. They've had a week's rest, right? He's getting back into form. So you're going to want to get him some minutes. So I think he's an option.
Words, mate. Famous last words, but you're right. He should do.
I think that's a pretty safe bet, and De Bruyne certainly safer than Foden, than the other mids. Foden, Grealish, Bilva. I think De Bruyne is the safest mid.
I actually think both of them will be quite differential, probably. So
yeah,
both of them are interesting. Both of them are interesting.
But you could captain. You could go in like you could go back to Cancelo, for example. I think he's definitely a viable shout.
Yeah, you could, because defensively, Manchester City top of there as well. That was a great segue, Gabe.
There we go.
2.2, then Brighton 2, and then Burnley 1 point. Burnley again. Burnley keep popping up at home, don't they? Every time they play at home, they tend to do okay in these fixtures. Well, there we go. There's Ruben Dias. There's me talking about selling him, and I've just put him in a bloody graphic. Says it all, doesn't it? Madness. As I say, mate, carry on.
Oh, so no, I was just gonna say the thing with Burnley is I think their stats look better at home because of who they've played at home. Their away fixtures in the first half of the season have been the more difficult matchups against the higher ranked teams. So when things flip, I do expect the away performance to catch up with the home performance, at least somewhat. So I think Burnley's home away stats are a little bit skewed. I think they're the only ones that have it so heavily tilted, where their home fixtures were so favorable compared to their away. So I would take Burnley there with a grain of salt. I'd also take Brighton with a grain of salt because of their defensive injuries. We saw in the FDRs how they're getting worse defensively, both at home and away. Liverpool's obviously not an option. Everyone else is just so much lower. Spurs at 1. I mean, Watford's only 0.2 below Spurs. So I really think it's kind of like City, Chelsea, bust.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it? I was just looking at this. Yeah, you're right, actually. The fixtures have been fairly favourable for them, haven't they, at home?
Yeah. Do you have them up in front of you?
I'm just looking through the fix, but yeah, I mean, you're talking about Leeds, you talk about Palace, you talk about Arsenal, although Arsenal beat them.
Away, they've had City, they've had Chelsea.
Oh yeah, they've had some tough away fixtures. You're absolutely right.
Yep.
They've played West Ham. They 0-0 draw against West Ham. So look, that's not a complete train wreck, right? Although, West Ham are a bit hit or miss at the moment, to say the least. At the bottom, obviously, Leeds were dreadful. We've already said Leicester, Newcastle, Southampton, Palace. are going to possibly struggle. Average fixed difficulty. I thought I'd just put this guy in for you, just for the graphic, because Cancelo under Reguilon.
The
Now,
L, by the way, is not silent.
Is he going to? I don't care. Is it? I mean, I'm not even sure he's going to play. But look, I mean, Spurs. I think there's an option. I mean, Davis is quite attacking as well at the moment. It's a lot of penalty box touches. Credit to the FPL Wire for me picking that one up, because I didn't get that, so I can't claim credit for that. I'll credit them for listening to him when I was listening to him earlier whilst I was prepping. Yeah, so I mean, for me, it's not a bad matchup, an average matchup really for Spurs, really. So I can see them perhaps getting, there's a possibility of one of these attacking, one of these fullbacks getting something possibly. But I mean, look, Cancelo, I mean, just a complete goat. He's amazing this year, isn't he? And that goal, my goodness, what a goal.
He leathered that so nicely. That's just poetry in motion there.
It's just amazing. I know,
it really
absolutely excellent. So not a lot to say. Cancelo is a solid captaincy shout this week. We'll see that. We'll see that later.
Yeah, and just for the podcast listeners, just to compare, so we're going to take Liverpool out of the picture here. They're not playing this week. But Manchester City, their average is 2.7. Second would be Spurs at 1.1. It's so incredibly lower than Manchester City. And then Spurs is more in the group of, so there's Spurs at 1.1, Brighton at 1.0, Burnley 1.0, Chelsea 1.0, West Ham 0.9, Manchester United 0.8. That's one group. You done already?
No, 3/4 of the way through it.
Okay. I mean,
you don't even through me. The way I'm feeling about FPL, I might drink it through my eye.
That's how pirates lose their eye, man. Be careful. Don't throw that thing. So I mean, those looking at players like Reguilon and hoping for something, I mean, again, I would just caution that we haven't really seen it. And similarly to Manchester United, where we've seen Manchester United maybe play some Rangnick ball, we've just recently seen Spurs play some Conte ball finally against a ragtag side, or not side, because I mean, obviously they still have world-class players, but ragtag opposition in terms of defensively in Liverpool. So I just expect them to be inconsistent. When you get a new system, new manager, they show something, they're going to be impotent at times and revert to like not being able to do anything and then show signs again. So I would expect inconsistency from Spurs and United.
Fair enough. I mean, look, I can't argue about it. Would you? Is Zinchenko still fairly nailed? I'll say nailed. I don't think he's nailed. I think you never say he's nailed. But is what's up with Walker?
I honestly don't know. I assumed it was just.
I was going to say if I was free hitting, I might actually contemplate playing a couple of fullbacks rather than Diaz and Cancelo, right?
I don't know, because I just wouldn't be comfortable in
that's the risk,
knowing who if it's going to be Walker or Zinchenko.
Yeah.
I thought honestly, I brought. Go ahead.
I was going to say Andy Martin has Zinchenko, right? He's done quite well He did really well out of him last week. I saw it.
No, he has him. He didn't do well though, because he had him on his bench.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Fuck.
I know.
Sorry, Andy.
Yeah.
I thought he got him in. Oh dear. I did see him in his team. That's why I mentioned it, because I thought fair play, decent shout, but benching him. Well,
I thought Zinchenko would have more of a role this season. I brought him in several draft leagues and then binned him when I guess he was rested after the Euros and all of that. And Walker has been playing just fine, but now it seems like they're rotating.
So Zinchenko's nailed till Walker comes back. Well, yeah, when's that? But seems more likely fallout than an injury. Maybe he went to the same place. Oh no, Chris, no.
Oh, Kyle, Kyle was there too.
Kyle, well, we know what Kyle's got reputation for things like
Kyle
that,
does
right?
have a rep, but it's been a
He
while for
does,
Kyle.
yeah. Kyle's
been a
another
while.
naughty boy.
So here's
there's a lot of naughty boys in Manchester, isn't there?
Well, I mean, what else are you gonna do? But I will say just really quickly on Neho's point, there is if it is a falling out, that means that he could come back anytime. If it's an injury, it's more predictable.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Actually, that's if it's an injury, at least you know he's out for a while, isn't he?
Yeah.
Gabe, NetxG. I managed to update it finally. I'm very sorry for being so completely tardy about things just recently, but shall we say when you get vomits like The Exorcist, and then it sort of like stops you doing FPL.
All of a sudden you have other.
By the way, for the listeners and the viewers, that's my little baby, my little baby daughter.
When you get vomit like that, all of a sudden you have other priorities in life.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, I finally updated it, so there you go, Gabe. Do you wanna talk about it?
Yeah, sure. So at the top, again, Liverpool is top against Leeds. We'll leave them out. Then we have Manchester. Liverpool was at 2.7. We have Manchester City at 2.36, Manchester United at 2.16, West Ham against Southampton at 1.99. Southampton their defense has struggled. They've given up a lot of chances recently, especially on their right side, if I'm not mistaken.
We'll see.
Who else do we have? Yeah, we will see that in a minute. Oh, I missed on Manchester United against Newcastle, obviously 2.16 for NetxG. And then, I'll throw these two in there together. Spurs against Palace at 1.84 and Burnley home against Everton at 1.77.
Crikey, I've got Wood. No, I haven't got Wood, but I might bring him in for me free hit.
I don't know. Looking at this, nothing is really surprising, right? I don't think there's nothing really jumps out. So here's something that jumps out for me right at the top. Arsenal away to Norwich, only 1.42.
Yeah,
we think of Norwich, right?
Yep.
We think of Norwich as a cake.
That come back to Arsenal's away form, as we've been saying all season on that whole season.
That and I think it's also Norwich has improved form in general, defensive form in general since Dean Smith arrived.
I'll tell you what is interesting though, given the fact that Ramsdale has been a bit of an XG killer in recent weeks, when we've been looking at this, you've got Norwich potentially to score against Arsenal.
Again,
1.32.
I've had Norwich to score for the past, every week for the past 6 game weeks or something like that. I don't know why. NetxG, but in fairness, it's come to pass, hasn't it? Let me just bring up Norwich really quickly. Norwich, sorry, apologies. Okay. Blanked. Well, they blanked the past 2, right, against Villa and United. The past 3, I guess, against Spurs as well.
I thought that was the case because that's why I was laughing.
Yeah, they blanked the past.
Anyway, don't worry about it. It's fine. Anyway, just for the people listening, the person on the screen is Jared Bowen. There we go. I think particularly if Antonio's missing, it could be he could be heavily involved in what West Ham do against Southampton. They've got a NetxG of 1.99. But interestingly enough, between game week 20 and 23, West Ham have got an average NetxG of 1.8.
Second best.
Second best behind Liverpool at 1.9. And Watford, Leicester, and Leeds are the next 3. Interestingly enough. So I like to look. I like this because I like to look just that little bit further out, and that's why, I did look at. When I was thinking, get into these flat panics, and you start thinking, what do I do with this? No, I don't sell Jared Bowen. No, I hold Jared Bowen. He will have hopefully, probably more than likely have a double game week as well. He's going bloody nowhere. Right? That's a player who's going nowhere. Interestingly enough, I mean, Leeds 1.6. If Rafinha's involved in everything, he's. I know we mentioned selling him the other week, but if anyone's still holding him, probably just hold him through now.
Maybe 1.6, and just for comparison, look at Manchester City's at 1.4.
Yeah.
I think I'd favor selling a Manchester City mid before selling Jared Bowen.
Yeah, interesting, right? Very interesting. Very interesting. Gabe, here's a question. Let's put it up on the screen because we can look at this in context into NetxG. From FPL Escapades, who would you sell first if you want Ronaldo for game week 19? Dennis, Watkins, or Antonio?
I think you have to sell Dennis.
Dennis is no game, right?
No game this week. And potential AFCON absentee.
Yes.
I hope that was your phone, Mariner, because otherwise you're going to...
It wasn't anything else. Oh, no, I'll tell you why it's my phone. It's gone flat. It gets flat, that's why. Dennis, I think, if you can fund it. So what's the point? Because he's... I mean, you're going to lose you. I can't believe how much he's risen. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I bought 5.3 is 6. You know, it's something like 6 now. It's mad. Madness. Anyway, well, there we go. So there's your NetxG. So let's see how it goes. But let's compare it, Gabe. As always, and we've done that for the first time in a long time. We've managed to get this done as well. Obviously, take Liverpool out. Manchester City, solid fixture difficulty and NetxG highest. Manchester United, West Ham, Spurs. We get as far as Burnley before it starts to diverge, and only marginally, and then it significantly diverges at Chelsea. And you don't like Chelsea this week at 1.3. You've got them ranked 13th, yet I've got them ranked 6th.
So what do you like? I guess my question is, what do you like about Chelsea's attack, or what do the numbers? What are the numbers like about Chelsea's attack?
Great question. I've not looked. They cleaned up bloody 6. But no, I mean, look, I think it must be to do with the opposition. That's the only thing I can think of. Is it
Villa?
Why? Point. Who are they playing? Who have they got?
They have Villa.
Yeah, it's probably Villa. It's probably Villa. It might be as much Villa as it is, because Chelsea, like I say, they're no great shakes. There've not been any huge shakes this season, really. So, it's an interest. I'd have to look into it, to be honest, but that's quite a big divergence, isn't it? We've just got that middle chunk, haven't we? We diverge a little bit on Chelsea. We diverge. I don't like Southampton, whereas you do. You like Wolves. I tell you what, I hate Wolves, and I can't see. I mean, are Wolves ever going to score again?
But hold on, I don't want to move past Villa too quickly. I think Villa at home. I think Villa's changing with Gerrard. I think their defense is getting better. When we're looking at just say, hold on, where was I here? Here we go. I'm looking at my matchups table here, and just looking at Villa. You know, big chances conceded. They're about middle of the pack. They're about 9th best. So they've conceded 9 big chances, and this is the data from the last 6 matches, and this data is from Fantasy Football Scout. They've conceded, let's see, the 5th fewest chances down the center in the last 6. They're more vulnerable on their left-hand side with Target, of course. Just more vulnerable on the flanks in general, but they're also their XG conceded is about 7th best, or some 6th or 7th best in the last 6. So they're really not terrible recently, and I think Gerrard has them understanding how to play together a little bit more. So I think that could be the reason.
No, I get that. And again, my fixtures, it's not going to be long, but I think where are we now? Game week 19, not 20, right? So we've now got 6 home games, the last 6 home or away games I can now take. I need a few more weeks, and then what I will do is I'll move to a model where we look at the last 6 and the full season for this season on the fixture difficulty. Probably another 4 or 5 games. Probably by the end of January, I will be on to just this season's data. So you've got to move it as it goes. You can't just leave it. You've got to just slowly but surely morph it towards more up to date.
So what were some of the other ones there? You could go back to that slide.
On the screen. So there we go.
So I think that, but just to explain why NetxG doesn't like Chelsea so much, I think it's that NetxG is also a newer model, so it's just looking at that more recent data, like you were talking about. So that
data,
could be
right?
part of
At the end of the day, data's data. This is just an indication. But what I do like about this is that at the top and the bottom, it really doesn't diverge. Right?
And,
if you're looking for hauls, it doesn't diverge much, right?
That's true. That's a good point. And I will say this is maybe the week where it's been the most aligned.
I've seen it better. I think I've seen it better. I think it's about a third each, isn't it? There's a third aligned. The 2/3 are aligned, the top and the bottom, and the middle chunk isn't quite aligned, but not terribly.
Even in the middle, it's just like 3.
Yeah.
It's Chelsea, Southampton,
12,
Wolves,
15,
and Newcastle. 4.
Yeah, there's 4, isn't there? 5. 4 or 5. But anyway, let's not go too much into visuals because we've got people listening. Let's keep going. And I want to do the zonal matchups now, and it's a bit which I really enjoy doing. And I've put it back into this format again, as always. So I thought I'd rank them this week. And hey presto, on the left-hand side, Manchester City. Top, 4.2. That's chances per 90 on average. That's conceded. That's Manchester City creating a certain number of chances down their left, and their opposition conceding a certain number of chances down their right, and then we average them between the two. So Manchester City there, then obviously Liverpool are not playing. Then Manchester United and Everton 3.8 and 3.8. And then we've got Crystal Palace 3.53, Arsenal 3.5, Chelsea 3.4. So left-hand side, if Cancelo ends up back on the left, happy days.
Well, so I would look at the zonals like not independently, like look at left, center, right independently. I would go Manchester City left, center, right. So
so if we do it that way, because we can do it that way on the other graphic, can't we? So let's look at this then. Manchester City are top, 4.2 on the left. They're third at 4.3 through the middle, and they're top at 4.6 on the right. So basically, they're going to have some fun.
They're going to have some fun, and it's slightly skewed to their right side, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is Mahrez going to get another start?
Yeah, I mean, I was asked a question earlier on. Does such and such play? And I said, "Hang on a minute. Let me just check my crystal ball." We don't know. We can't say who starts, who doesn't. That's how you get on a sticky wicket when you start saying who's going to start and who's not in this game. Manchester United. Let's look at them. 3.8 on the left, third. 3.9 through the middle, fourth. 4.1 on the right, third. Again, a very, very good set of matchups. Now, what else have we got? Let's look at Arsenal. 3.5 on the left, 4.4 through the middle, and 3.5 on the right. Who's going to play down the bloody middle for Arsenal, Gabe? Please tell me who it is.
Odegaard.
I knew you'd say that. I knew you'd say that.
You did.
Because I took him off the bloody next graphic and I replaced him with someone else. And I knew it.
You put Lacazette, didn't you?
No, I didn't. No, I put Martinelli through the middle.
He won't...
only from the basis of I looked at his heat map from the last game week, and he was fairly central. But to be honest, it's very fluid. They're very, very fluid indeed.
And they play with the inside forwards, right? That with the inside left and the so Martinelli or ESR on the inside left, and then Saka on the inside right. So from that inside, making diagonal runs towards the near post or to the penalty spot, it does look like a very central attack. What that does, obviously, is open up space on the wings for Tierney to overlap and get balls.
And the reason I didn't put Odegaard in is because Odegaard, yes, he is very central, but he's just that bit deeper.
And here's a question. I'm wondering. Here's a question for you. When we're looking at the zonal matchups, if all of the zones are relatively equal, does that make the case even for a deeper lying creative midfield player to spread the ball to the spots where the opportunity arises? It could make that player more. It could give that player more of a central role in the tactical game plan.
It could, or of course, he could be assisting the assister. Is the downside of that?
Yep, yeah, that
he
for
could
sure.
Be playing the ball out to split the defense, and then the ball in is the one which actually. I tell you, the player I really like for Arsenal at the moment, and I'm so happy for him because he had a great summer, but then he obviously had an absolute heartbreak. Is Saka. To me, he looks amazing. I'm really, really pleased for him.
Yeah,
and really got back to it.
He's a crowd favorite as well, so it's always it's fun to root for him and cheer for him. But what I will say regarding Arsenal, and to your point about Odegaard could be moved back to play next to Partey, and Smith Rowe could play the 10 with Martinelli on that left-hand side. That's something that I think we don't know enough to be able to even try to predict something like that. So that is a risk.
But Blue Danube guy, damn you, fuck's sake.
Damn Nima.
Damn Nima. Blue Danube guy, Arteta might give Eddie Nketiah a go in 19. He just played a full game, didn't he? But he might get a run, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure he's an option. I think
I would watch for
Martinelli. For me, is the standout option at this moment in time, and I kicked myself all around the room bringing Lacazette in because then I blocked because I ended up with 3 Arsenal and then had to. I really want Martinelli, and I booted myself around the room about it last week after I did it.
So here's the thing, Arsenal they don't have a double, do they? They don't have a planned double.
Yes, they possibly do. Yes, they possibly do. Yeah, but it's not a great double. I think it might be
in 22.
It's Spurs and possibly Chelsea, but the Chelsea game will be brought forward from the World Club Championships.
I see. So they'll have the double and then they'll blank.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So that makes Arsenal assets more of an option. I was fading Arsenal because I didn't think that they would double, but I can't beat that price.
But here's Robin. Look, Robin Popperwell here. If no more postponements and may do Martinelli in for Salah for a playing 11, it leaves me 8.3 in the bank. Ace. That's a move right from the Mariners playbook. That is. I like that one. Yeah. Well, why not? Why not? It's a good shout. It's a really good shout this week.
It'd be nice if we could get interest for that money. If we leave money in the bank.
Really good shout. I'm warming to Martinelli in, and maybe even playing them both, and maybe keep Smith Rowe for and then probably just lose him in a few weeks' time. But
I mean,
just a bit worried about that double. But the 5 million, it doesn't matter, does it?
Exactly.
Leave him on the bloody bench.
And you're bringing, like, for example, you could go Salah to Martinelli and Dennis to Cristiano.
Yeah. I mean, Grant Elliott here is just commenting in the chat. I wouldn't get rid of Mo. What happens if AFCON gets called off? I agree, Grant, but at this moment it's going ahead. So you play what's in front of you. Are they going to call it off? They're absolutely insistent it's going to go ahead.
I mean, how, like, are they insistent to an extent that they can bring peace to a nation?
Well, they're civil war. They're as insistent as anyone from Cameroon could be. I mean, look, I know it's difficult, right? It's terrible. There's geopolitical problems. There's COVID issues. It's not a good time, is it? There's a hell of going against it. But
I mean, there's a civil war for crying out loud.
Are they going to call it off? I mean, yeah, the AFCON president's still confident it goes ahead, as Nahal says. He's absolutely right. I read the same thing myself.
But this is what politicians say, that they're confident that something's going to happen until it's absolutely certain that it doesn't happen, and they'll say, "Oh, we had the best intentions." Some bullshit.
Don't get me started. Right, next.
But I do think Grant brings up I think it is an important point to not jump too hard and to consider the fact that AFCON could be cancelled still. Just
right, and we've got that free hit chip, and it brings us back to that.
Yeah,
I can still do what I want to do in game week 20 to prepare for 22 with the same number of hits if I free hit this week.
And FPL Penguin, who's in the chat, they've already activated their free hit.
Well, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that.
But he's probably in a situation. Some people are. No, hold on. Some people are in a situation. I'm going to disagree with you, because I think some people are in a situation where they know that they're going to be able to get 5 players out, and you free hit. It's a simple calculation.
It depends where you are. I mean, look, for me, I'm right on the borderline. But look, you could free hit, and then the whole game week gets wiped out. Then you've lost your free hit. You could end up with no games going ahead. We're still got Christmas Eve. It's still a working day.
Yeah, the game week's not going to get called off. I think that we can be sure of that. Though I wouldn't be all
surprised if you aren't looking at a free hit with a minimal number of games, though, and then all of a sudden, then it becomes a different question entirely. What is the upside of the free hit? Right? There's no point playing the free hit if there's no upside. You may as well just go with it because everyone's in the same boat.
I don't know. I think with a free hit you can create your upside with your player selections.
Yeah, people saying Nehal's saying you can see he's seen teams with 4 players.
Exactly, it's a no-brainer. You have to.
Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah, definitely. All right. Anyway, anything else you want to add on the zonals before we just dive into the captaincy, which actually is a bit of a discussion today? Anything else we want to talk about? Not really. I just like the look of what was I looking at? Manchester United's left, long range 4, looks quite useful. Arsenal still good through the middle, even though the fixtures do change a little bit. West Ham left as well, 3.5. Don't start me on Ben Rama again, but he's going to AFCON anyway. So that's him gone. Who play on the left? Fornals.
Could be.
Might be a short-term look.
On West Ham's left?
Yeah.
Could be Fornals, could be Ben Rama.
Well, Ben Rama's off to AFCON, isn't he, eventually? But I don't know how long they're going to stay there. It's like someone said, they mentioned about Salah, it's all well and good going to AFCON, but Egypt aren't very good, so they won't be there long.
Well, but Salah's a god, so he can make anything happen.
Anyway, let's exercise our vocal cords for a quick second with a drink, and I'll just play the usual advert. We'll say if you've not seen it, say, what are you waiting for? And I've got the cat with the Santa hat on in the advert, but we haven't got it in here. Anyway, here it comes. Whoops.
Are you craving more FPL content? Then look no further than allaboutfpl.com. Head over there for weekly articles from some of the top content creators on the planet. So what are you waiting for? Head over to allaboutfpl.com, the website for all your FPL needs.
Well, there we go. And Surrey, I think, is in the UK at Jammy Git.
Now,
Surrey was in Brighton, of all places.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. He's working across there or what?
Maybe he's collecting another award.
Well, yeah, it was better than John Terry collecting it, right? Our John Terry.
Oh, ouch. Poor Nima.
We really shouldn't take the piss out of him. He's not well, bless him.
He's not.
Get well soon, my friend.
Get well, buddy. We miss you.
Get well soon. We want to see the Ali G costume. We will get the terrible threesome will be on sooner or later on that Haul, I promise. Right. Okay. Let's have a look at the captaincy. Well, we dropped back below 80 because Salah finally blanked. 78%, 302 points so far, 16.8 points per game week. Still doing quite nicely. I mean, it was going to happen. He was going to blank sooner or later, wasn't he? But does it really hurt you when you've got EO like that? No. That's why, can you make big gains if you captain Cancelo and players like that? Yes, of course you can, but it could just as easily go flat. You could just as easily go flat on your face and you end up in a complete bloody bird's nest mess, right?
That's right. And then you're trying to do that again to catch up for the gambler's fallacy, right?
Chasing the game,
and you end up
chasing the game. So yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at the metric. Let's see what it says this week, because we know this gentleman is not there. This is a first time in some weeks. So let's have a crack. And it's a really, really close run thing, but Ronaldo tops it just at 94 from Cancelo second at 92 and De Bruyne third at 87. There we go. So Ronaldo is the metrics choice this week. I think as much as anything, Gabe, the fixture it doesn't like, but what it really likes, it likes the odds. It likes the predicted returns of 1.15. That's on Fantasy Football Hub per 90. So there we go. I put it as 115%. So that's how I calculate it. But yeah, it really likes that. His form's good, 7.7 points per 90. He's got two hauls, 5 returns. They're not amazing, whereas Cancelo has better numbers when it comes to that, but just doesn't quite decent fixture difficulty, not quite so good form, but just doesn't quite see it. Sees the risk of that clean sheet going right a slight bit. 50 still very good, 58% and 45% for a goal or an assist. So I think the metric's going for the safe. I think it's going for the safe move. Personally, I don't know about you. And of course, De Bruyne, he's been pulled down by his rotation risk. He could go up because of that number. That's going to take him closer. Right?
I mean, the first thing that stands out to me is I was thinking before the slide came on, if there's a Spurs player in the top 5, I'm not following the metric again this season.
And it didn't.
It did. Son comes in at 7. We have Ignatius Bryant in the chat asking me why captaining a Spurs player is insane. I said it was insane. Ignatius, go back, check out the rant earlier. I won't repeat.
It was pretty spectacular, to be fair.
But yeah, that's I agree with the metric, and we talked about it earlier. Ronaldo, Cancelo, we mentioned. De Bruyne, I think is the best option at City. I
don't like Sterling and Fernandes. They're still sat there, but I think they're sat there from potential rather than more than anything. I think it's more punty.
More punty. Sterling, people are lauding the way Sterling's been playing. I would contend that Sterling has been getting production, but not playing that great. He still slows down every counter attack. He still has that little stutter step that still runs into defenders. So I wouldn't be into Sterling. I think he's in easy rotation as well. It'll be interesting.
But no,
I think.
There's no hauls for Sterling either, and
that's true.
This is net that haul. So really, it should be Cancelo should be actually top of the metric. He's had 4 double returns.
I think he'll be my captain. He'll likely be my captain.
Really,
even unless I bring Ronaldo in.
Ronaldo, if I free hit, I will have Ronaldo and I will captain him. If I make transfers, I will have Ronaldo and I will captain him. Right, I'm going with the metric this week.
Oh, so you're getting Ronaldo either or and captaining him. Interesting.
Yeah,
interesting. I think it's going to be an interesting strategy decision. Free hitting versus not free hitting.
As well, by the way, I own Cancelo as well, so I could go Foden to De Bruyne. That's the only other option, right? I could do a double move I could do a double move through midfield,
but then you wouldn't get Ronaldo.
Then I wouldn't get Ronaldo.
So it's either De Bruyne or Ronaldo, right?
It's one or the other. I couldn't do both.
That's interesting. So I think the interesting strategy decision this week is going to be those that free hit, probably captaining Ronaldo, and those that don't, which direction they'll go in. This is going to be one of the most interesting weeks in a long time because of the cancellations and the captaincy decision.
I didn't have a chance to put Bowen in. I was gonna put Bowen in and see where he popped up, but the trouble is he won't come very high because I'm not sure that fixed difficulty is probably not great. He's not really returned that many times, has he either? So I think that's a punt. It's not a bad punt, but don't get me wrong. But I just don't think it's a bit punty. And the general rule which we follow on NetxG Haul is we captain premium players, don't we? Yeah. Generally speaking, we captain premium players unless we have times like these defenders, like right now, where Cancelo has a good fixed difficulty. And in fact, look, his fixed difficulty is slightly worse than De Bruyne, and that's because it's an average. So you could argue that Cancelo actually has 125 fixed difficulty for his attacking. That takes him even higher again. So this is marginal. It's really marginal. I think Cancelo is a good shout, actually. The more I look at it, it's a good shout.
So, yeah. So when looking at Cancelo, we're looking at 117 fixture difficulty. Obviously, the higher, the better. So, but you're right, Mariner. You could look at that as a 109 for defense and 125 for attack, and rather than averaging the two. Right.
Yeah.
And then in that light, that could push Cancelo up a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Even if it diminishes the chance of a clean sheet.
Well, this is ultimately where I think what we have to do is actually calculate it individually rather than as an average. But again, these are all things that will come up when I finally get away from nappies and things like that, which will be a while. So not for me, by the way, of course, if for people who are listening.
I was going to say, and you have to take care of the baby.
Yeah. But there we go. I think it's a really straight shootout between three players: Ronaldo, Cancelo, and KDB. There we go. Yeah. That's my call.
So there's a good question on this topic from Kevin FPL Saffer. If you see it in there at 31 past the hour, Mariner.
This one, yeah.
So -4 for Ronaldo in and captain, Salah to Martinelli and King to Ronaldo.
Nod. I'm nodding a lot. I love
now, it. But that sounds great. But then if you look at his next comment at 32 past the hour, he also has KDB and Cancelo. So having KDB, would you take that hit for Ronaldo?
I'd still do it. I just think there's upside in it. I just think there's big upside in it. I love the Martinelli shout. I love the Martinelli shout, and I think Ronaldo there's a lot of upside in the move. I just think if he's got those other players as well, he's in a good position this week, I would say. And again, just owning Ronaldo is enough. Even if you didn't captain him, is enough in many senses when you've got if you've got those other captaincy options, if you wanted to go a different way. That's the way. He's not highly owned at the moment, is he? And it'll be a few weeks before he is. But I expect he probably will, but he'll get back to his decent ownership in weeks to come. But no, I like it. I really like it. I think it's
aggressive, but I'm not against it either. It does have upside. To your point,
I'm a lot. Look, Safra, I think I'm a lot happier than Gabe. I do like it.
Well, Mariner's been on the wine, and I'm just it's friggin' 9:30 in the morning. I just had some coffee here, so you are much jollier than I am on this day.
I'm glowing. I can't decide whether it's sunburn or wine. But anyway, there we go. What other questions have we got, Gabe? Because that's our all bits and bobs done. So
let's see. We can. I'll go back to so right at the beginning at the top, Akib asks if you go from the bottom up, I'll go from the top down.
Okay.
Is Lloris an option for one of the goalkeepers? Given that they have all the games in hand, kind of, and they're going to be playing several games.
Well, how expensive is he?
He's
is he 5.5?
Is he? I'll look really quickly. I think he's 5.5 though. Yeah.
I'm not against it. I just think that if you had Davis at 4.5 and Lloris at 5.5, I think there's more upside for Davis than Lloris, and I would go Davis.
Yeah, Lloris is 5.
Is he 5 or 5.5?
5.4.
All right, I'd save that 0.9 then. I'd go with Davis.
Save that 0.9, but you can also get comparable goalkeepers for slightly less in Ramsdale and De Gea, with better fixtures.
I mean, look, I'm all for having strong. I've been harping on about it for some time, haven't I? Now, or last few weeks, about having a strong, a strong bench and things like that. I think that's going a bit too far.
I agree, and yeah, you can get cheaper goalkeepers elsewhere. But if you look at it, every goalkeeper has their cheaper defensive replacement, right? Ramsdale has Ben White, Tomiyasu, De Gea has Dalot, Lloris has Ben Davis.
The first rule, isn't that the first rule? The first rule is if there's somebody cheaper, consider them. Certainly, I'm not saying Ramsdale was one of the cheaper options, wasn't he? At Arsenal, he's not anymore.
Right.
But when we all bought Ramsdale, he was 4.5, right? 4.5, 4.6.
Yeah.
So if you look at it like that, you can't, obviously you couldn't look at it now. Would you now go for a Ben White or someone like that, or Tomiyasu or one of those? Possibly. If you want to get in on the Arsenal act now, maybe you would.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a strong believer in that. If you've got a cheaper playing option, the only thing I say about Ramsdale is he's just a bit of a bonus point magnet, isn't he? That's a bit. He's a bit Martinez. He's a bit Martinez-y.
He is this season's Martinez, I think. Yeah,
he is. Yeah, you're right. Good pronunciation, Gabe. Right, FPL escapades. Foden and Bernardo surely a hold for game week 19 if we've got bigger fires to take care of.
100%. Yeah,
agreed. Have you got another one?
Dallas at 37 past the hour.
37. Right, we're back at the bottom again, aren't we?
Yeah, back. Refreshed.
This one?
Salah, King, and Gilmore to Fornals, Martinelli, and Ronaldo. And then Ronaldo captain for -8. I used free hit last week and did well, so I don't have it this game week. Actually, you do have it this game week, Dallas. You got another one.
No, you don't. You can't use it till game week 20. Get on the game.
Oh, is that right? See, I've been sleeping, Mariner. It's just morning time here. I didn't know it came with caveats. Shit. Don't open till Christmas. Fuck off. Okay, so he doesn't have it. Let's look.
This should have a big D on it. You should have a D for dunce. You need one.
My kid's wearing it right now. He has it for the rest of the year.
What does this look like? I'm going to keep it on like this now. Just then,
it's perfect. Wait, what do you think of this? What do you think of this -8? This proposed -8?
Yeah. Yeah, it depends on the number of players. It depends on It depends on how many players he's got available. I think that's where I would be. Salah out, Martinelli in. Yes. King out, Ronaldo in. Yes. Gilmore out, Fornals in. Under the circumstances, yes. I think it's a gamble, but I think it might not be. That's the only one. But does he need? He doesn't need to do Gilmore and Fornals, does he?
No.
Because he's taking Gil. So he could do the -4 and just leave Gilmore sat there rotting. And
I'm assuming.
a couple of points.
I'm assuming that Dallas is throwing in the Gilmore to Fornals so he can field an 11. I'm assuming that if he doesn't do the Gilmore
Is
sub,
Gilmore out?
no, but he's a guaranteed 2 points, right?
Well, but what do you
And
expect?
Fornals is not. Yeah, maybe without the Gilmore one, without the Gilmore, right?
I do like the Fornals
-4.
move, but I think the Fornals move is just that bit punty, but it could really pay off. It could pay off. That's a borderline one for me. I'll tell you what I would do.
I wouldn't do the Gilmore to Fornals for the extra
Dallas' name?
-4.
We need to know what his name is. FPL.
It could
is
be
he
Dallas.
from Dallas? Is he from Dallas?
I think his name is Dallas, but I'm not sure.
His
I
name's
think
Dallas.
no. Yeah, I don't know where he's from, but I
Anyway,
think
we'll find out. Well, Dallas, what I would suggest you do, and I'll tell you what, I will do it right after this show, is I will put a tweet out and I will ask how many people are taking hits. And if we see that there's a good chunk of hits and less free hits, I think I'll probably do it. But what I tend to do is I tend to look at it. I tend to look at the hits as a bigger picture as to how many points I tend to lose. I'm a bit funny like that. I don't like to take -8s if nobody's taking any hits. But if there's a chunk of people taking -4s, then I might contemplate a -8. I think that's where I would be, because I quite like it, but I'm not just. I can't quite judge where we are with respect to hits yet. Can you?
That's interesting. Like EO of hits.
Yeah,
the higher
I do
the
that.
EO of hits.
I actually calculate it myself off my own poll. I calculate it.
Yeah,
I calculate the number of players are expected to play, and I calculate the number of hits as points. And before I make my final decision, what I'm doing. What do you expect? Would you expect anyone dressed like this to do anything different?
No, I know you well enough, my friend. So Dallas, for me, I would be hesitant to do the Gilmore to Fornals for the extra -4, especially since Fornals, we're not sure how good of a long-term pick he is. So that's what I would be hesitant on.
I think that's fair, but if you think about it, Ben Rama's going to the AFCON. I think there's sense in what he's doing. Ben Rama's going to AFCON. If AFCON happens, Ben Rama goes. That opens it up for Fornals. Fornals has already proven that if he's on the pitch, he gets returns. I quite like it. I'm just not sure whether I'd do it for a -8. I might hold it back a week.
I don't think it's necessary. I don't think the -8 is necessary. There's no hurry to get Fornals in.
No. It's like my -8. I have to do it because I need to free up cash to be able to do what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Or that doesn't need to free up cash. That's just an upside. That's an upside move. So is Fornals going to get 4 more points than Gilmore? That's the question, isn't it? That's right. That is the question. Everyone's taking the piss out of you, mate. Here's FPL Dallas. I used to live in Dallas, Texas, and I'm from San Antonio. There we go. Super. There we go. Gabe, are you drunk already?
I guess so, because I've already forgotten what I said that made me sound drunk. So maybe that's from last night.
You've given free hits away in Gameweek 19.
Oh, because of that. Oh no, I'm just a poorly informed penguin. That's all. I've been with kids, and I just woke up.
Don't worry about it. We'll let you off. Nihal, thoughts on Foden? Have we had this one? We haven't. No. Foden, Watkins, Salah out for Son, Ronaldo, and Martinelli. That's -8. Foden out, Son in. Watkins out, Ronaldo in. Yes, I like that. Salah out, Martinelli in. I like that. Foden out, Son.
Don't like that. Son.
I tell you what. I'll tell you where I am with this. Isn't it just written in the bloody stars that he doesn't start the 1 week that I want him to bloody start? And I can see where Nehal's coming from. I've just got that niggling problem about Foden, and is that, if he's been a naughty boy, is Pep going to give him another kick up his ass for another week? You never know, because
you never know.
Like you say, when it's injuries, you can judge it, but when it's when it comes down to behaviour and things like that, and if it's a COVID, it's all well and good being if it's being a bit naughty boy, with getting his trousers around his ankles or something like that. But it's also in the middle of a COVID time, so that's where it's really problematic because this is where you're bringing COVID into the camp, right? So he could kick his ass again, and if that's the case, I would wait, Nehal. I would wait for any team news. And if there's team news and he's not starting, do it. That's my call.
Yeah. Yeah. If you find out Foden is not starting, which I don't think you'll know before deadline.
I would not sell him if I know he's starting.
Definitely I would not sell him if you don't get any news. If you don't get any news, then do the -4. Don't do the -8.
No,
only do the -8 if you get.
Why sell him? Why sell him unless you
against Leicester and you're bringing Son in against a difficult
what's
Palace?
His name? Farquhar's injured, isn't he? Isn't Lord Farquhar injured? I think he is.
That might make Leicester's defense better.
Well, yeah, that's true. Any more questions?
Do we want? I don't have the webpage up. I wanted to go through players with yellow cards. There's Ignatius says Gallagher with 4 yellow cards.
Yeah, he's got 4. There's quite a few with 4 now, but
we don't have that up. Just check that before you do anything. Just check before you do any transfers. 100%. Check the yellow cards.
And remember this as well. Some teams have only played 16 games, 15 games, and they've got to get to 19 games, not 19 game weeks.
Right. That's right.
That's the difference. So that's an important point to consider.
Yeah, I think Spurs have played.
I might be dressed like an absolute idiot, but every now and again, I do come up with something that is useful for these people. So, did he play? Soyuncu played against the. Well, that's all right then. He's bad anyway, so that's fine. You'll be fine.
Better.
So,
that's good.
Even better. Right. Any more?
I think that's. Are we done? I think that's it.
Well, there we go. Right. What more to say, Gabe? I'm just going to wish everybody a very, very happy Christmas. I think I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something serious now. I know a lot of people are finding it very tough at this time of the year. I'm away from home for the second time in my life. Again, second time in 2 years. I've not made it home for Christmas, and I'm finding it tough. You might think I'm not, but I am. My DMs are always open for anybody who is feeling down about anything, let alone Christmas. And I'm sure that's the same for you, Gabe, as well. We need to be very mindful of the fact that some people are having a really, really tough time. We're trying to make it as shall we say, as joyous as possible with respect to the show and trying to be as light-hearted as possible. But we can't take away the fact that people are getting positive COVID tests and not going to see the families this Christmas. I know a number of people today. I've heard at least half a dozen people who have had to cancel their Christmas arrangements, and they're as miserable as sin, and it's quite right. So all I would say is, guys, please, if you're feeling bad, DM me. I'm always open to talk to people. Okay.
If I could just add really quickly, I'd like to echo those sentiments and just say that COVID has shown to be kind of the pandemic of loneliness. It separates people, it isolates people. But not just that. It's the being locked up has put us in situations also with families, and families can be struggling right now because of lockup, and this is the time of year where all of those feelings get really just heightened. So all I can say is stay connected. Everybody's going through something, and reach out to people you feel comfortable with. My DMs are also open, and I welcome those messages. So stay connected with people will people you trust and people you love.
We echo that. I echo that, Gabe. And as always, we only ask for likes and subscribes. We don't ask for anywhere near as much, do we? I know the guys have been asking for ages, but if you haven't already liked this, please give it a like. Please go subscribe. Please catch Gabe at FPL Lens. Please catch me at FPL Mariner. I'm going to play us out today just with how I feel about FPL right now. All right. And it involves tumbleweed. So here comes the tumbleweed moment. Have a very Merry Christmas, everybody. We will catch you hopefully between game weeks. And if not, Gabe, I think you're going to do a NetxG Haul Twitter space, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do something between the game weeks.
We will do something, and we will catch you soon. But apart from that, Merry Christmas, everybody, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Definitely our most popular member of the NetxG Haul crew, and you can definitely be our 5th crewmate now going forwards. Definitely be our 5th crewmate now going forwards.
Hello, darkness, my old
So,
friend.
just while we're here as well, guys, so please